All right. Good afternoon, everyone. We are pursuant to Standing Order 1082, the motion adopted by the committee on Thursday, January the 31st, 2019. The committee is resuming its study of the subject matter of the supplementary estimates, B, 2018-19, votes 1B, 5B, and 10B under the Department of Employment and Social Development. Appearing today, we have the Honourable Patty Hajdu, Minister of Employment, Workforce Development and Labour. Joining her today, we have from the Department of Employment and Social Development, Graham Flack, Deputy Minister, Employment and Social Development, Chantal Mayhew, Deputy Minister, Labour, Leslie McLean, Senior Associate Deputy Minister of Employment and Social Development and Chief Operating Officer of Service Canada, and Jason Wan, Deputy Chief Financial Officer Branch. Welcome to all of you, and we'll turn it over right away to Minister Hajdu. I understand you have a very brief opening.
Yes.
All right.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chair, members of Parliament. It's great to see you all again so soon, and I want to thank you for inviting me back to this committee to talk a little bit more about what we're doing to make sure that everybody has a fair chance to succeed in terms of skills development and youth. And so you know that, and I would like to thank both my deputies who are here today. ESDC, of course, is a vast department in the Government of Canada and does a lot of great work, but they're here to support me as the Minister of Employment today, and have been both deputies and their teams have been critical in helping us deliver on our goals. So specifically under my mandate, we're there as Minister of Employment. My mandate is really about supporting youth, students, and Canadian workers so that they have the skills, the opportunity to gain those skills, and the work experience that they need to succeed in the modern workforce. And I will say that this is becoming even more and more critical as we see lower and lower unemployment rate as a result of the investments that we've been making working over the last 3 years. And so now, as I travel across the country, the conversation has shifted from employers from, one that they had lots of choice in the market in terms of who they could hire to saying we need people and we need people with skills. And so it's become a very critical portfolio in terms of our growth. So I will say that some of the achievements that we've made, I think, are making it easier for people to find their way into education and training and helping people land those good jobs once they complete that skills training. And so, for example, changing our student financial assistance program so that more Canadians can benefit. This is really a reflection that when everybody has a fair chance to succeed, they take that opportunity, they can reach their full potential, they become valuable employees or in some cases business owners, and they're able to contribute back fully to the economy. Helping Canadians train or retrain to remain competitive in our workplace. Of course, this has a couple aspects. One is people that are wanting to return to school because they would like to improve their earning potential, but it also is there for people that are struggling with unemployment and want to improve their skills in a way so that they can transition to other sectors or other opportunities. Investing in young Canadians to help them enter the workforce. We've talked a lot about the fact that students will often have a great degree of skills, but if they don't have work-related experience, it's hard for them to get that first job, and many employers will actually be reluctant to hire someone that doesn't have a qualified job in that sector. So our work-integrated learning programs are helping people get jobs while they're still in school so that they can actually land on their feet when they graduate with a qualified, with a great employer. And then, of course, updating the Canada Labour Code, something that I particularly am very happy about doing, because this is about protecting the most vulnerable in our workplace and making sure that people that aren't protected, especially in federally regulated sectors that often do have higher rates of unionization, protecting those folks that don't and making sure that they have things like a few paid leave days so they can take care of the details of their life, whether it's illness or care for other people in their family, making sure that there's more flexibility, but also more predictability in terms of scheduling, advanced scheduling notice, and ensuring that people have those protections and safety in their workplaces. So these things are all combining to make it better opportunities for Canadians no matter where they sit socioeconomically, and that's the real goal, is that whether or not people come from a family where they have the ability to support their young person to acquire skills training or not, it really shouldn't be a barrier for people to enter education if if they have financial pressures in their family. So, you know, we've made real progress. I think you can see that from the estimates. We see youth unemployment rate dropping. This is something that's a very, very sticky unemployment rate. You know, as we've seen the general population unemployment rate sort of plummet, one of the challenges has been the youth unemployment rate has been very persistent, but we're starting to see trends now in terms of a lower youth unemployment rate. More people are going to school than ever before, and we've created together as Canadians with all of these investments and many more in my colleagues' portfolios, over 900,000 jobs in the Canadian economy. So things are looking up for Canadians. So I'm excited about continuing to on this trajectory. I'm excited about Budget 2019. I think there's going to be even more measures in Budget 2019 that will ensure that everybody truly does get that fair chance, and that we continue to be a country where we value education, we value opportunity, and we know that when people are given those tools to succeed, they take them and they pay back their communities and their country enormously. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Minister. And first up with questions, we have MP Barlow, please.
Thanks very much, Mr. Chair, and thanks, Minister, for coming back at the request. That's certainly much appreciated to take the chance to answer some questions about the budget and supplementary estimates. I do want to ask a bit about the temporary foreign worker problem, which kind of ties into the study that we're doing right now. And I know that's not entirely under your portfolio, but I'm sure it's something that you've been aware of. And just because it's become such an issue in this current study that we're talking about, and I know in the supplementary estimates there was additional $35 million that was put in for worker protections under that title. Over the last few months, speaking with certainly people in the agriculture sector especially, these audits have become very anxious for them. Some of them take 2 years to complete. Is the $35 million generally just for hiring additional auditors, or is there some funds that are going to be set aside for, say, a dedicated line for agriculture producers to access better information, how this is going to work? There's concern with biosecurity when these auditors come on the farm unannounced. I'm just wondering how the allocation of that $35 million is going to be set aside.
Well, thank you very much, MP Barlow. And I will say that the Temporary Foreign Worker Program, when I was appointed Minister of Employment and Labour, was flagged for me as one that was incredibly mismanaged by the previous Conservative government. In fact, so badly that we had lost trust as a country in the program. In fact, Canadians were regularly outraged by the lack of protection for the temporary foreign workers that we were using, whether it was in agriculture or food processing, whether it was in tourism, and secondly, that it wasn't meeting the needs of employers either. And in fact, the Auditor General had quite a scathing review of the Temporary Foreign Worker Program, and I believe this committee studied the Temporary Foreign Worker Program and made a number of fantastic recommendations about how we could move forward, restore the integrity of the program, make sure that we invest in the program so that we can actually expedite getting people here, but also when we have people here, protect their rights as human beings. And quite frankly, I say this all the time to employers. I say, look, you know, what we need for this program to succeed is for you to respect the program as an employer and your obligations underneath.
Minister, can you answer the question, please? I know we have a limited amount of time, and I don't need your history lesson, Temporary Foreign Worker Program. I know it very well. No, I'm just asking you the question: is how is the funds going to be allocated? And I've spoken for employers across the country on this. Absolutely, the Temporary Foreign Worker Program is a difficult one, but I haven't had any of them complain to me about some of the things that you're talking about. We addressed a very serious issue when we made the changes. I admit we probably went too far. We're trying to find a situation that is going to work for everyone, employers. I'm not asking you about a history lesson on the Temporary Foreign Worker Program. I'm asking you, because we got in trouble last time apparently for not asking questions on the supplementary budget. I'm asking you a question on the supplementary budget. Are the $35 million, is there going to be money allocated for a dedicated line for, say, agriculture producers to understand the audit system better? Yes or no? And if so, I'd like you to explain it.
Well, first of all, I would respectfully disagree with you, MP Barlow. Integrity of ensuring that when people are here as temporary workers, that they're treated well and that their rights are respected is actually critical to maintaining this program and the confidence of Canadians in this program. So I will reiterate that, despite the fact that you don't like to hear it, because it's a really important part. And I say this to employers and agricultural employers all across the board. The majority
Are
of
you going to
employers,
answer the question? Or just say you don't know.
Yeah.
Just say you don't know if you don't know.
The majority of employers are good employers, and they are employers that respect the obligations as a temporary foreign worker employers. But for the few that don't, it puts the entire program at risk. So the money will be used in multiple ways. It will be used to support inspections. It will be used to support the work of people that are strengthening understanding of rights and obligations of employers by temporary foreign workers. And we are also currently undergoing an agricultural review that the What We Heard report has been released. We'll be using that What We Heard report to make changes to ensure that employers can get the labor that they need, but that they also understand their obligations as employers so that the integrity of the entire program remains intact for all of those employers that rely on people from other countries to pick the food that we eat.
Thank you very much, Minister, for finally getting to the answer of that. And just for your comment, every single person that I've spoken with over the last 2 years has said accessing the temporary foreign worker program has become almost unattainable, much, much worse under your leadership than anything ever before. So to say that you've expedited the process of the temporary foreign worker program is absolutely false. You've made it extremely difficult to navigate, so much so that many have just given up accessing the program. And I understand that you're trying to protect those workers who come here, and I would think all of us would agree with that. Workers who are coming here, we want to ensure they're coming here and getting the best experience possible. That's what our employers want. That's what those new Canadians want. We want a pathway to permanent residency. We don't want people to be coming here necessarily for 2 years and going home. So to say that you've somehow made this miraculous change to the temporary foreign worker program, I think you're naive, maybe close to delusional, if that's really what you think. I think everybody would agree that there needs to be a massive overhaul. What's that? Sorry? I didn't name call anybody.
Delusional.
So you're chiming in on me, Mr. Chair?
I am. You have about 30 seconds left, sir.
So, Miss Minister, can you tell me how much of what the breakdown is on the money that's going to be going to the audit and inspections of that $35 million, and what may be allocated to other support systems for the employers themselves?
Very, very briefly, please.
Mr. Chair, I'm happy to pick up the answer to the question. $15 million was set aside in budget 2018. It is not part of the supplementary estimates. I'll ask our Chief Financial Officer rep to confirm that. But that work is, as the Minister noted, to increase the number of on-site and unannounced inspections that we are doing. Of about 22,000 approvals for the labour market impact assessment that are made a year, our program of on-site reviews and inspections is about 2,800, so slightly over, and of course with a risk-based focus. And we will work, as the Minister noted, with the agricultural and all other sectors to ensure that we're respecting whatever protocols are unique to the workplace, whether they be biosecurity or otherwise.
Thank you very much. And MP Long, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Minister Hajdu, for coming back. We appreciate very much you took the time to come back to our committee and answer some questions of all of us. One of the greatest announcements I certainly had in my riding of St. John Rosse was the Human Development Council's UYES program through SkillsLink. And it was very important for me as a member of Parliament to come to Ottawa, advocate on behalf of the riding, deliver on things like Canada Child Benefit, housing strategies, poverty reduction strategy. But I was determined to try to deliver programs to my riding that could break the cycle, to break the generational cycle of poverty that unfortunately my riding does have. And the SkillsLink program, the UYES program, it will help 200 youth, at-risk youth in my riding. And I see it happening now through Outflow Men's Shelter. They're working with youth downstairs to develop carpentry skills, training. I see it upstairs where they're getting, increased education so they can move on to post-secondary and ultimately help them gain employment in the riding. The impact of that investment is profound on dozens of youth in the riding. So can you just tell us about the impact investments in skills training through Skills Link, Skills Boost are having in the lives of Canadian youth, in particular at-risk youth in my riding or in ridings right across the country?
Well, thank you very much, MP Long. And I will say that you've touched on a program that's very close to my heart, and I don't need to remind everyone about the work that I used to do, but I truly do believe, and this is what drew me to politics, that when we invest in people that are, the euphemism at ESDC is furthest from the labor market, but that really means the people who have the hardest time getting a job, the hardest time getting the first job, the hardest time getting a break, really. That when we invest in people through Skills Link, through the youth employment strategy, that what we're doing is actually investing in our own potential as a country. And when we don't invest in people, like we saw the previous government repeatedly sort of ignore vulnerable people, what happens is not only is it a lost opportunity, it's actually an expense. So MP Long, you would be able to know this, that when we actually delay our investments in young people, they fall further and further and further away from opportunity. And that hopelessness and that lack of opportunity and that prolonged poverty actually ends up putting someone from the revenue side of the sheet, to use a finance term, into the expense side of the sheet. And that's what we really ultimately want to avoid. This is a social justice argument, but this is also an economic argument. So ensuring, the investment of $339 million over 3 years for Canada Summer Jobs, an additional $393.5 for Canada Summer Jobs, that also addressed vulnerable youth, more than 33,000 vulnerable youth developing the skills that they need. We almost doubled the Skills Link program when we took over, and that was really about ensuring that everybody has that fair chance to succeed. So I'm really glad that you raised that program, because to me, this is one of those long-term investments that's going to pay off not just for the country of Canada while we have the opportunity to be government, but for successive generations.
I mean, I had the opportunity to tour the program just recently, 2 weeks back, and you have youth learning carpentry skills. Those youth, once they get those skills, will be employed by a social enterprise, Catapult Industries. Catapult Industries will renovate older homes in my riding that ultimately the youth and their families may live in. So it's a perfect kind of program that can break that generational cycle. So thanks to that, Minister. I do want to switch to Canada Summer Jobs. Wonderful program again in my riding. Hired over 350 youth, put almost $1 million into the riding of St. John Ross. Last year, our committee undertook a study of experiential learning and pathways to employment for Canadian youth. During that study, we heard from many witnesses who felt the Canada Summer Jobs program could be expanded. In fact, it ought to be expanded in order to provide Canadian youth with more work-integrated learning opportunities. I was thrilled when I learned that your department would be expanding the Canada Summer Jobs program in 2019 in order to allow all youth between the ages of 15 and 30 to qualify for jobs funded through that program. Can you tell us about what impact you believe this expanded eligibility criteria will have on Canadian youth, particularly for those who've graduated from post-secondary education institutions and are looking to break into fields in which past work experience in the field is often a prerequisite for employment?
Thanks very much, MP Long. And I think you're touching on two sort of distinct streams that we're working on. One is the Canada Summer Jobs Program, which will help ensure that students, actually all youth this year, because we've changed the criteria for, and through many of you advocating to make sure that it was available to all youth. But youth will have an opportunity to get that sometimes first job experience, but also the expansion of the student work placements in Budget 2018, which gives them industry-specific experience. I will say that under our government, we doubled the number of jobs for youth. And, the Harper Conservatives had the worst youth unemployment rate since the 90s. So in contrast, we're providing over 70,000 young people every summer with that valuable work experience that you're talking about. And I too have met the Canada Summer Jobs people, young people in my riding. And many of these folks, I have a very large riding and it's partly rural and partly urban. And many of these folks, I have 12 First Nations, this is their first job for the summer. This is the first time they've had paid employment in their life. They now have a little bit of money in their pocket to spend on school or other things that they need, but they also have that first reference, which we know, and that first experience and reference is so critical for the next job. But more than that, they also have that confidence. Because oftentimes, and I'm sure you've met youth in your own communities, people who have not had that first paid experience have oftentimes a lack of confidence about their abilities and their capabilities to actually land that job and how it's going to be once they're in the workplace. And the Canada Summer Jobs Program is a really safe place for people to experience that first paid job. The employers that apply oftentimes have done it for years. They know how to work with youth. They know the kinds of supports that youth need in the workplace. And this year, of course, we're even strengthening the obligation employers to make sure that they're providing that mentorship and leadership in the workplace. So I want to thank you for your work and make sure you continue to meet those young people because they will continue to inspire you.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you. Now over to Madame Sanssouci. 6 minutes, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Bonjour.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Madam Minister. I'd like to discuss with you a concern that we share. That is to say, the job integration of young people. I have worked with youth in trouble for over 20 years. And last January, I held an economic roundtable in my riding, and the four economic development organizations of my riding were present at the table. And there were other organizations of job integration like Carrefour Johnson who participated, as well as many others that exist in my riding. And of course, we talked about labor shortages. That's true for most businesses. And even in my riding, they have to buy school buses to go and pick up employees in the Montreal region, or their own buses to go out to villages nearby. But they asked me questions about a program and a project that I've been discussing since we traveled together. We visited, during a trip that I took with you, an organization, and we heard of an experience that really spoke to me. And they were doing job integration, and I'm sure you'll remember this very well. They also had stakeholders who could move around, because employers shared this problem with me. When they integrate a young person into a job, they had the tools to give them some support in terms of the work itself. But for all of the more personal problems that young person may have, they often feel at a loss. And the organizations we met with would send someone, if necessary, to the employer. For example, if the young person had trouble at work because the day before one of his friends had died of an overdose, or his mother had been the victim of domestic violence, or they were late in the morning because this young person had to go out and buy food or get food for the family from a food bank. So this organization came to the assistance of employers and these young employees and provided such support. So I thought that the community organizations are lacking, and it would be of interest if the government came to support employers in this aspect of integration. Because oftentimes we're talking about small and medium-sized businesses. That's a huge percentage of our economy, and they don't have the means of doing this on their own. Because people also from these organizations are retiring. I have worked a lot in this area, and I'm always thrilled to see someone who's starry-eyed, who's been in a job for 30 years and is still talking about it with so much passion.
Well, we've said here, when we looked at our apprenticeship study, we talked about support programs, and they should be extended to more businesses so that we can keep employees while we're integrating young people. So I was wondering really whether because here we're talking about the budget, but I'd like to know what you think about the potential for new support programs, new support mechanisms to help youth in jobs.
Castillon. I will say I share your passion for making sure that young people have the supports, not just the job skills in particular, but also the supports that help them with all of the other problems they experience in their life. And I think that MP Long spoke about an organization that is doing that. And so the funding that we provide for, say, the training through SkillsLink, can be augmented by partnerships in the community. And many of these SkillsLink deliverers all across the country, and that's why we actually deliver this program through partnerships with not-for-profit organizations, do form those partnerships with other organizations that are providing the add-on and the wraparound support for a young person to succeed. I'll also congratulate you on your new leader being present in the House, and that's fantastic. It'll be great to see what the NDP plan will say about investing in youth unemployment. The last plan, the budget was $25 million for job creation, the same arbitrary number for housing. So it's a lot more expensive than that, and I will tell you that it's worth every dollar, that investment. And we'll be moving forward as we reshape the youth employment strategy to reflect the kinds of comments that we've heard through the number of consultations that we've held from all of the people that are delivering this program across Canada, which all pretty much say the same thing as you, which is that young people need extra supports to succeed. So we're going to continue on that path. Thank you.
Et sur le deuxième aspect, j'ai encore une minute.
I still have a minute left. There was a second part to my question on support to allow businesses to have financial support to be able to retain people who are about to retire, but also to integrate new workers, because in small and medium businesses, well, they're telling me that they don't have the wherewithal to pay both salaries at the same time, so that the knowledge transfer can take place between the person who's retiring to the person who's filling the job.
Susie, I would say that we've been doing a tremendous amount of work investing in small businesses and the needs of small businesses and economic development. I will also say that there's always an opportunity for businesses to be creative and innovative in the way that they look at their labor shortages. And I would say that ensuring that youth have an opportunity to participate fully in the labor market is a real great opportunity for innovative small and medium-sized businesses who are looking for new ways to solve old problems. And many of the businesses I've visited across the country are taking advantage of things like our subsidized student work placement program, which actually provides a subsidy of 50% for the students' wages, up to 60% if the person is a woman or Indigenous or otherwise further disadvantaged from entering the labor market. And that is a direct support for small businesses and medium-sized businesses, in that it covers and it compensates them the cost of hiring new talent. It also provides that small business the opportunity of all that enthusiasm and passion and to-the-minute, up-to-date learning that the student is learning in their relevant course. So I will continue to invest in student work placements. It's a way to support small and medium-sized businesses, but also ensure that young people get that very critical sector-specific experience.
Thank you very much, Minister. And now over to MP Hogue, please.
Thank you. I was elected about 14 months ago, and at that point in time, the Canada Summer Jobs and the attestation issue was significant in the campaign that I was a part of. And I wondered if the attestation as it existed then actually impacted the number of jobs that we were able to provide, or the number of applicants that had. And I know that you've made a number of significant changes since that point in time, and I'm wondering how the experience that I went through at that point in time informed the type of initiatives that are coming out at this point in time, whether we're seeing an increase, a decrease, and the impact that, in fact, that role has played.
Well, thank you very much, MP Hogue. I will say that, yes, it was a very vigorous conversation last year in terms of Canada Summer Jobs. If you had told me I would speak that much about Canada Summer Jobs when I first got the job, I might not have believed you. But I'm glad that we were able to speak so much about it, despite the fact that it was oftentimes vigorous conversations. The unintended consequence was that many people found out about Canada Summer Jobs as an opportunity to hire students that previously didn't even know the program existed. So, some people say there's no such thing as bad press. I will say, in terms of Canada Summer Jobs, it helped us reach our target of 70,000 jobs. So there was no dip in the number of jobs that were available to young people across the country. We, as you know, worked very closely with all of the different stakeholders that felt uncomfortable with the process, and we wanted to be very clear, as we were in our communications last year, that this was about activities and job description and not about beliefs and values. And I think we heard back from many of the groups that we worked with, including faith leaders from all different faiths, that they were much more comfortable with the process this year, and they understood our goals of ensuring that students weren't put into positions where they were asked to violate the established rights of other people in this country. And I think we were able to do that in a way that lent comfort to groups that this really wasn't about a judgment on their faiths or beliefs, but rather around protecting the integrity of those positions for young people.
The numbers, the applications this year, have they, as a result of any of those changes, have they increased, decreased? What is the impact in terms of the applications this year? And
as the minister noted, year over year, and I believe I referred to this in my testimony at the last committee, our experience had been successive increases in numbers of applications received and in numbers of jobs requested. We're still finalizing the program for summer 2019 because, of course, the applications just closed in early February and we're frantically beavering through. What I would note is we seem to have slightly fewer actual applications and jobs, but over 125 million requests in the value of the jobs being proposed. So that speaks to, of course, employers respecting increases in minimum wages, but it also reflects, I suspect, a desire to create longer jobs, and as the minister noted, quality jobs for youth. So those are preliminary numbers for summer 2019 because, of course, we're still just finalizing all the applications and requests we've got.
thank you. Also note with student loan and the default of student loans over the past 7 years, I think there's been a reduction in defaults from something like 14% to 10%. And I'm wondering what kind of programmatic approaches have been in place to see that reduction, and what more strategies you might be putting in place to see if there can be a further reduction from the 10%.
Well, thank you very much, MP Long, or sorry, MP Hogue. You're sitting beside each other. So you're right. The Canada Student Loan default rate is steadily tracking downwards, and that is, as a result of the supports that we're providing students in terms of repayment assistance. We've increased the amount of support for non-repayable Canada student grants, so that helps as well. Obviously, for lower income students, more grants, less loans is one way to prevent the default of loans. And we know that for lower income students, oftentimes even the prospect of taking out debt can be a deterrent to education. Change the repayment assistance program so that no graduate who applies will have to repay their Canada student loan until they're earning at least $25,000 per year. This is going to benefit 54,000 students. And the write-off amount represents less than 1% of the overall amount of the Canada student loans. So, I mean, this is obviously heading in the right direction. We want to make sure that any young person that wants to attend post-secondary training has an opportunity to do so and can see a financial path towards that goal. Again, I will say that we know when people feel confident to invest in themselves through higher education or skills training, that they repay that investment multiple times over in their contributions to their community and our economy.
Thank you. That's good.
You're good? Okay, Mr. Rubin.
I get it 30 seconds.
You get us 30 seconds.
Welcome, Minister. Always a pleasure to have you here in our committee. First, I just comment on Canada Summer Jobs because we all seem to be talking about it. I love the program. Since I got elected, we've more than doubled the amount of Canada Summer Jobs we've had in our riding of Pitt Meadows, Maple Ridge. And part of the reason is I've actually gone out and met with almost every single student. We've showcased them on social media, videos, pictures, and we interview them, not only them, but the organizations that hire them, and what do they hire them for, and what are the criteria they're looking for. And I was really excited to see that over the course of the last 3 years, it's not just the quality of the jobs, but we've tried to push people to actually hire what they're actually doing in school. So we have a hatchery, and they've actually gone out and hired people from university who are studying fish and biology, and this is practical experience for them, which is great. So I want to thank you for that. I'm going to move on to a different subject now. We're actually studying right now in the GTA construction jobs and the lack of skilled labor and so on and so forth. So I see here in the SUPs, the Canada Summer Job Grants and qualifying full and part-time students, $409 million. Do you see? I know you haven't likely been following our study, but can this be applied to skilled workers, or trying to encourage skilled workers to pick up the trades? Because that's what we're seeing as a problem. They're going away from skilled trades. Is there an opportunity here to use this program?
So if I understand the question correctly, it's can people use Canada Student Grants for trades training, right?
Yes.
Is that the correct? Yes. So yes, and I'll let my deputy speak a little bit more in detail about that.
So one of the 5 national priorities that was established for Canada Summer Jobs was for employers who are providing youth an opportunity to work in the skilled trades. So that would be any of the Red Seal certified trades, be it chef, be it carpenter, be it. So very much one of those 5 priorities. And I think when we spoke about it last, we were recognizing as part of the application process, there are 4 objectives, and the weighting that is given in the Canada Summer Job Evaluation is very clear for those. First objective is just to give a quality job to youth, and as members have already noted, it's the youth between 15 and 30. The second one is providing youth with the opportunity to develop and improve their skills. The third objective is the one I just referred to, where the minister has established national priorities that staff are using across the country. That's where you find the one for skilled trades. And the final one is local priorities, whereas members around the table are aware, you as MPs have input in establishing those. Mr. Chair.
So thank you very much for that. One of the challenges that we're hearing from committee is the Red Seals are great, but I don't think we have people at that level yet. What we're trying to see is how do we encourage new people to come into the trades program, and I think that's where the challenge is. And if there's an opportunity to use this program to push people into the trades.
So I'll just take it first, and then I'll turn it over to my deputy for a few more details. Yes, you're absolutely right. What we want is more people in the trades. We want more interest in the trades earlier on, and we need to sort of reverse the generational stigma around pursuing a career in the trades. And I will say this is obviously a burning desire for me as the Minister of Employment and Labour, but also as the mom of a young man in trades. And, you know, trades are some of the best middle-class jobs in our country. There's 65,000 skilled trades positions shortage in our country. You know, obviously the previous government didn't invest in unions. As a matter of fact, introduced a whole bunch of union busting legislation. They were no friends to organized labor or to the trades. And so for us, this is about reversing that. And these are the ways that we're doing that, ensuring that we invest in the women in apprenticeship model so that we bring more women into the trades, pre-apprenticeship strategy so that we can get people into the idea of trades before the apprenticeship. Investing in union training. We know that unions actually do some of the best jobs in terms of training the next generation of skilled tradespeople. So whether it's equipment or innovation in terms of bringing people into union-based trades. So we are going to continue that work. I think we have more to do for sure, but I think we're on the right trajectory now. We're talking about the trades in a more positive way. We're working with organized labor. The skilled trades unions are an important partner in this country, not just to build up the next generation of skilled tradespeople, but also to protect those good quality middle class jobs that we talk about all the time.
Excellent.
20 seconds.
I'll take the 20 seconds. Actually, in my riding of Pitt Meadows, Maple Ridge, we have the International Union of Operating Engineers, and we had an investment of $500,000, just over $500,000 for a brand new crane, which costs over $1 million. And getting inside the crane, you'd think they'd have all these levers, but it's actually, you need trigonometry. You need to have the skills that are not necessarily considered with the trade. So I think we have a way to go with that. And when we look at the equipment and the progress of where we need to be, I think these types of programs would be great for moving our country forward.
Thank you, Mr. Rumi. And Mr. Diot for 6 minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To the Minister, I was just reading a report from on Bloomberg, and it was from the Paris-based Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. It's the same organization that has concern about the SNC Lavalin affair, so I think everybody knows it. They're calling for quite a severe, they're warning that a global outlook, they've downgraded their outlook globally again. From a growth, predicted growth of 1.8% to 1%. They've got a very gloomy outlook. What does that do for any of the spending that's going to be done here in Canada?
Thank you, MP Diot. I will say that we will do the exact opposite of the Harper Conservatives during the recession, that they held an opportunity to actually change things for Canadians. We'll continue to invest in Canadians. We'll continue to invest in their ability to be resilient, to ensure that whatever comes our way as a country, that we have skilled people with opportunities to reskill if their sector is impacted. I will say that we will ensure that everybody has a fair chance, so that we have more people in our workforce generating great ideas, leading the world in terms of innovation. And I'm excited about the opportunity to ensure that people feel that in this country, that they and their children have a fair chance, and that no matter what is happening in the sort of global outlook, that Canada is strong and prosperous and has the people power that we need. And I think the Deputy has a few other words.
So the downgrades by the OECD and the IMF largely reflect changes in emerging markets like China that have had a significant impact on the downward trajectory of the estimates. There have been a number of downgrades that have emerged as a result of this. I'd say the Canadian job growth stands in contrast to that downgrade. And so from a departmental perspective, the programming is very much focused on how we deal with one of our biggest challenges, which is actually the inability to fill the number of jobs we have. And so the efforts, including these items you see in the supplementary estimates, are about helping us to reduce those kind of mismatches so that we can have the highest percentage possible who are employed. But you are correct in identifying that global headwinds in terms of economic growth have stiffened in recent months.
There's also another, actually, Bloomberg report that talks about home values that fell for the first time since 1990 in Canada, which is a huge blow. We just heard from some home builders earlier, and it's very, very grim news on that front. That same report talked about business investment fell 5.9% in the final 3 months of 2018 in Canada, and it's expected to be very, very weak, especially because of the energy sector. And there's concern in this report that we're losing billions of dollars from the energy sector. It's fleeing the country.
Point of order, Chair.
It's not coming back. And without that money,
Point of order.
how is any of this?
Pause your time for a second here, Kerry.
How is any of this spending going to take place when?
Gary, I just need to interrupt you for a minute. We paused your time. Mr. Long has a point
Chair,
of order.
to be fair, I think this is outside the scope of the committee's mandate and,
Okay,
and questions for the minister.
Let's let Mr. Diot ask his actual question, and I would remind him we are here to talk about estimates. I know we've kind of been all around the map, but let's stay within at least the minister's mandate would be good. So
Well, I mean, the minister was talking
we'll
about.
restart your time, and
Right.
we'll
Okay.
let you get back to
The minister was talking about the 900,000 jobs, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm simply pointing out from secondary sources that all is not that rosy. And the question is, given the fact that money is fleeing from this country, especially in the oil patch, and there's no conceivable date as to when the next pipeline is going to be built, how are you going to pay for all of this?
Thank you, MP Diot, and I will say that you're right. We have created, together with Canadians, 900,000 jobs. We've set the table so that Canadians have the confidence to create those jobs, and it's created a new problem, which is a severe labor shortage all across the country in a variety of different ways. And you know, when I visit with my Quebec counterparts, for example, and the only thing we talk about is the labor shortage, that's when I know that we have a crisis of keeping up, quite frankly, and making sure that our businesses have an opportunity to grow. And I will say that there's a whole bunch of things going into that labor shortage. Obviously, we have an aging population, so people that are getting older, that are wanting to retire, that are retiring, and we're sort of at the apex of the baby boomers retiring. We have a lower birth rate, which means there's less people entering the workforce over time, and we have obviously challenges around recruiting people to these jobs that can fill these jobs with the skills that employers are looking for, which is why the work that we're doing in terms of my portfolio is so incredibly critical. Because if we do not actually ensure that every single person in this country has the opportunity to fully skill up to their best potential, then we are actually doing our employers a huge disservice, not just now, but into the future, because it will actually retard their growth. They will not be able to grow their businesses. They will not be able to innovate in the same way that they want. They will not be able, in some cases, to keep their businesses open. And I will end on this. Mr. Diot, your party has an incredibly negative message around the value of immigration, and that is not helping employers all across this country as they seek to find new people.
This is
I would
completely
say that
off topic,
one of the
Mr. Chair.
answers to actually
Mr. Chair.
solving our labor
I
shortage
didn't
is a
open that
robust
door.
and healthy immigration strategy.
I will have to cut you off anyway, because that is time. We do only have time for one more question, but let's try to keep it relevant, guys, to the minister's mandate. And I believe up next we have MP Sangha.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will share my time with MP Dan Rumi. Minister, thank you very much with your team. You have given very good input regarding the employment. During your answer to one question, you told that there is a shortage. You agree that there is a shortage of manpower. And in my riding of Brampton Center, we have seen that SMEs, they are suffering very critical shortage of manpower. And you also agreed that the students are their education, they have the education, but they don't have skills. So employers don't want to hire them because they can't give them proper trainings. Once they train them, they leave them and go away. So there is a critical shortage. So what we are doing for that?
Well, thank you very much, MP Sangha. I will say it is not a one silver bullet solution to the labor shortage, and I think part of it is what I have in my portfolio, which is making sure that more people have an opportunity to access skills training and paid work experiences whenever possible. You're right that employers often don't want to take a risk on a young person or a person with new skills that hasn't tested them in the workplace. So we have to help support employers to take that risk. And that's why things like the Student Work Placement Program 60,000 of them across the country, is so critical to making sure that employers have the confidence that they can hire a student, the student has the confidence that they can get a job in their sector, and that we play a bit of a role of matchmaker as the Government of Canada, making sure that people land in their sectors fully skilled up. We have to make sure that that older workers that have been out of school for a long time have the kinds of financial support they need. So the older workers benefit, where people can actually have supports, extra financial supports through grants to whether to take care of their children or to help pay for some of the bills that we acquire as older people, and take the chance to go back to school. As a matter of fact, that's a very personal story for me, because I didn't graduate till I was 28, and it's a very hard thing to do, to go back to school with children who are financially dependent on you. And so we want to make sure that we clear the way for those older workers that have been out of school for a while, and that people have an opportunity to see themselves as students again, or gaining skills that are going to help them move forward in their earnings. And quite frankly, we also have one of the fastest growing populations in our country, and that's Indigenous young people. Indigenous young people is really the only population that we see high birth rates, and an opportunity to actually tap into those Indigenous young people and ensure they have skills earlier on, that they have a career path, and that they can actually match up their skills and their training with the available jobs in this country. I think that would be also an opportunity for employers. And finally, and I mentioned it to MP Diot, we have to be very protective of a robust immigration strategy, because quite frankly, we just are not growing enough people to meet our labor shortages across the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Yes,
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm going to jump back to summer jobs again. I know that over the last year, there was a lot of feedback coming in through surveys. I know that the surveys, we got a better return on them. And from all these consultations, one of the things that came out were that you don't no longer have to be a student to actually qualify, because it puts them at a disadvantage. The disadvantaged ones is not fair. So looking at that, what can you tell us, can you share with us what the future holds for Canada Summer Jobs, perhaps year-round, perhaps, what are your thoughts? What have you been hearing? What's the next evolution?
Well, thank you very much. It's, I wish I could speak for the future, but I can't. I will say that the changes we made this year, though, are critical to making sure that the program is accessible to as many young people as possible. You're right, we did survey employers and youth with their experience with Canada Summer Jobs 2018. 89% of participants and 78% of employers were satisfied or very satisfied with the program, which means that it's beloved by both employers and by the people that are taking advantage of it as young people. Based on feedback, we decided, to your point, to make it more accessible. And I will say that it really warms my heart that some of the most strong advocates for opening up this program to people besides students were the young people themselves, who worried about their friends, who were not in college or university or going back to another full-time year of study, who said, it's great that I get to take part in this, but I really wish my friend down the street who's not going to school next year could take part in this program as well. And so youth continue to advocate for each other, which is truly quite remarkable. Also, Canada Summer Jobs this year will be posted online on job banks, because one of the things that we heard was that sometimes you have to be in the know, especially in smaller communities like mine. If you know someone in the small business, you might be the first person to get the job, or maybe the job isn't posted. This year, all the jobs will be posted online, so students will be able to look across the country about what jobs are available in their communities, but also if they're interested in jobs in other communities. I have a lighthouse in my riding. It's a pretty neat experience. The students get to spend the 6 or 8 weeks out at the lighthouse, and students from all across the country apply for an opportunity to take part in that Canada Summer Jobs program. We also made sure that we'll continue to ask for this feedback. So next year, we'll be asking for feedback again. And I think, to your point, MP Rumi, I think that's when we have an opportunity to continue to evolve the program, is as we get feedback from participants and employers. I think it's our obligation as legislators to look at how we can improve it continually year over year.
Thank you very much, Minister, and I'm afraid that takes us to the top of the hour. I want to thank you for coming back, spending a little bit more time with us, and sharing sharing with us some information that I know a lot of people around this table really have a passion for. For the committee members, I just wanted to remind everybody the next meeting is March 21st. It will be the first M194 meeting with officials and MP Sheehan. April 2nd will be the first set of witnesses for M194. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you to my colleagues, to the folks to the left and the right, folks in the booth, and the tech people that made today possible. Thank you very much. Adjourned.